Be now put.
Sue Moroney.
Thank you, Mr Chair, and I'm very pleased that I got the call in order to talk about the commencement dates of the various commencement dates, actually, of this bill, because it is structured quite differently to most bills that we'd be debating in this House, and that it has 4 different times at which various parts of this Act come into being, and I'd really invite the minister in charge of this bill, the minister in charge of this bill, to give some insight into why we have 4 different timeframes for various sections of this bill coming into being. So, because we've got the bill in front of us, and I just want to let listeners to this debate know that there's a whole series of sections that come into force 90 days after the date of royal assent, and they seem to be mainly around the now let me just see, clause 6 as one of them. They're a grouping of issues, I think, that is around the way that the licensing happens. That's what that appears to be to me, but it would be great to get some clarification from the minister himself. And then there's another group of sections, and they seem clearer to me because they're about the taking of blood specimens. And I expect that this is about letting our health system prepare for a new way of dealing with blood specimens, because those sections 31 to 35 and 37, which happen to be about the way in which blood specimens are dealt with by our health system, they come into force 180 days after the date of royal assent. So we've got one bunch of new rules coming in 90 days after the date of royal assent, another bunch coming in 180 days of royal assent, and then there's a third group, and this group seems to be mainly around the issues that have been mostly debated in this bill. Well, I'd invite the member Michael Woodhouse, who was on the committee, to get up and give clarification to this, because we are debating the commencement part of the clause, and I think it's important. It's important for the committee of the whole House, which is what we're doing at the moment, to understand the insight that the select committee members actually got into this. So I'd be really pleased to hear Michael Woodhouse take a call to enlighten me on this issue. But they seem to be around the zero blood alcohol limit that Tohanari was so confused about. They seem to be about the new interlocking system that we can use.
Zero.
But look, these parts of the bill don't even tell us how many days after royal assent they're going to be coming in, because these are even more vague, if that's possible. It says that these particular sections, and I won't read them all out, there's a number of them, they come into force on a date to be appointed by the Governor-General by order in Council, and one or more orders may be made appointing different dates for different provisions. So we could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about a dozen, probably about 18 different dates for each of these parts coming in as well. So that seems like that's a bit of a shambles. And then Part 4 of Clause 2 says that everything else, the rest of the Act, comes into force on the day after the date of royal assent. So we've got probably, by my estimation, about 30 different dates on which all of this could come into being. And I think that's going to be very, very confusing. It's going to be very confusing for the authorities that need to administer this Act, and that will be the police. I think the police are going to have a bit of a nightmare working out which part comes in when, because we've got some parts of the Act, most of the Act coming in the day after the date of royal assent. Then we've got about a dozen clauses coming in 90 days after the date of royal assent. And then we've got 3 clauses which seem to all apply to the health system coming in 180 days after royal assent. And then we've got, as I said before, I think about 18, I haven't stopped to count them, about 18 different sections, parts of this Act that come in on a date that we don't know about, and they might all be different dates according to the commencement clause. So I think it would be really important for the Committee of the whole House to understand exactly what's going on with I think approximately 30 or more different dates on which various sections and parts of this Act are to be enacted and what the reason is behind that.
National MPs.
And the reason why I asked the question, and I really would like the Minister to respond, Mr Chair. Mr Chair?
Sue Moroney.
I really would like the Minister to respond, because the reason why I asked the question, and Tauhenari may not be interested in the sort of shambles that the police might be left with in order of the dates at which they're going to have to deal with this various parts of this Act coming in, but I certainly am. And I would expect that maybe the Minister of Police, Judith Collins, she might be really keen to hear what the explanation is and exactly how the police are going to deal with different parts of this coming in at different times, because they will need to understand this to do their planning, because acts like this make quite a big difference to the police force and the way that they're actually going to administer it. So I think it's really important that they understand which parts of it are going to come in 90 days and are they the bits that they are actually administering. The Ministry of Health needs to understand, so it can get its orders in place and its instructions in place to the hospitals up and down the country about the parts that seem to apply to them that come in 180 days and how they're going to manage that. And then, these various clauses, and I'm going to have to look at them, because all of these next bunch of clauses actually come in on a date, and it says that the orders may be made by appointing different dates for all of these different provisions. And there's Section 5, Section 6, Section 16, 21, 22, 24, 28. I'm not going to read through them all, but Section 5, for example, if I can just put my finger on that one quickly, and that's not going to be an easy no, here it is. Section 5 is about drivers to be licensed. And so this is the part that actually takes away the concept of a limited licence, which we're used to in this country, and brings in the new three new licences, an alcohol interlock licence. So this is obviously going to be an issue for the licensing authority. A zero alcohol limiting...
Order. It's time
licence
for dinner. I shall resume the chair at 7 p.m.